Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of the Republic, gather round your screens, your radios, your town squares, because the saga that never sleeps has taken yet another turn in the theater of American politics. The curtains are up, the spotlight is burning white hot, and the names flashing across the marquee are as bold as they come: Donald J. Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, George Santos. Yes, that George Santos. The name that once brought gasps in Congress, confusion in headlines, and memes across the internet. The man whose political rise was meteoric, and whose fall was even more so. A 7-year descent, sealed with a guilty plea. Wire fraud. Identity theft. A collapse not just of credibility but of character. And yet, the story is far from over. Because in the great American tradition of redemption, of resurrection, of rewriting narratives in real time, Marjorie Taylor Greene has entered stage left, pen blazing, letterhead stamped, ready to make waves in the halls of justice. She's calling for a commutation. She's calling for mercy. She's calling for Donald J. Trump to wield the power of the pardon, and reach into the cold, gray cells of the Flatiron satellite camp in New Jersey to pluck George Santos out of his 7-year sentence. Let that sink in. Because this isn't just about one man's freedom. This is about raw power. Constitutional authority. The ability of one former, and potentially future, President of the United States to undo the gavel's decree with a stroke of a pen. So let's ask the question that's lighting up cable news, Twitter timelines, and legal forums nationwide. Does Donald Trump have the legal right to pardon George Santos? The answer: yes, absolutely, unequivocally. If, and only if, Donald Trump is once again the sitting President of the United States. Because the presidential pardon power isn't a wand passed to ex-presidents or presidential candidates. It's exclusive. It belongs to one person, one office, one occupant, and that occupant, as of this moment, is not Donald J. Trump. It is President Joseph R. Biden. So until January 20, 2025, or whenever Trump may return to the White House, the power rests elsewhere. But Greene, she's not confused. She knows the law. She knows the timeline, but she also knows something deeper: the pulse of the base. The rhythm of the movement. The art of the ask. Because this letter to pardon attorney Edward R. Martin, it's more than paperwork. It's a signal. It's a flare fired into the political sky. It says, we haven't forgotten him. It says, we stand by our own. It says, George Santos may be in prison, but he's not alone. And now, Santos himself becomes something else. A symbol, a pawn, a potential martyr. Because when you're caught in the gears of federal justice, you don't write your own story anymore, others do. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing just that. She's rebranding the felon as the fallen. She's turning a disgraced ex-lawmaker into a foot soldier for political rebellion. And the narrative, oh, it's juicy. It goes like this: George Santos was targeted. He was prosecuted not just for his crimes, but for being a conservative, a MAGA ally, a symbol of the outsider class that refuses to bow to the establishment. That's the story Greene is penning between the lines of her request. That's the story her supporters are already shouting from podiums and podcasts. And in that story, Donald Trump becomes the knight, the redeemer, the man who can reach into the depths of federal incarceration and pull one of his own out with the sheer force of executive grace. But until that day comes, until he retakes the oath, if ever, Trump remains powerless to act. Not legally, not officially. And yet the myth grows. The legend expands. Because in Trump's world, even potential power is power enough. Greene knows this. She plays the long game. She knows that letters like this aren't just for the Justice Department. They're for the movement, for the message, for the momentum. And let's not forget, this isn't Greene's first ride on the controversy carousel. She thrives in the chaos. She feeds off the headlines. And now, she's once again forcing America to ask, who deserves a second chance? George Santos, the man who lied, cheated, and conned his way into the halls of Congress? Or the movement that stands behind him? And what does it say about us, about our politics, about our morality, if mercy becomes a partisan act? Because that's what we're seeing. Mercy is a weapon. Forgiveness is a rallying cry. Justice is a chessboard. And while Santos sits behind bars, Greene is campaigning in courtrooms. While judges hand down sentences, MAGA hands out sympathies. It's not about whether Santos is innocent. He pleaded guilty. It's not about whether his sentence is fair. The law ran its course. It's about who gets to decide when punishment ends, and politics begins. And in that game, the king is still waiting to retake his throne. The king, they say, is Donald Trump. And if he returns, then George Santos could very well walk free. Not because he's clean, not because he's changed, but because in the kingdom of MAGA, loyalty trumps legality. And Trump pardons who he pleases. So yes, the answer is clear. Trump can pardon Santos, if he returns to the White House. Until then, the movement waits. The letter rests. The prison holds. But the myth, the movement, the moment, they grow.